Hello, everyone. My name is Ava Campbell, and welcome to Coffee with Keep Arizona Blue, where we get into all things politics over a cup of coffee. Now, usually we bring someone from around Arizona to chat about what they do in the political field, but today we are switching things up a bit. And as we enter the new year, we wanted to have three very special guests come and talk to us about what Keep Arizona Blue has accomplished this past year and what we plan to accomplish in the 2026 midterm. And there is nobody better to discuss that than our Executive Director, Jacob Marson, our Deputy Director, Francesca Martin, and our Political Director, Cameron Batista. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. All right, so as you all know, we like to start the podcast off with explaining the mugs that we brought. So I'll go first, and then I'd love to hear about everyone else's. So I brought this little sock monkey mug that we use as a Christmas decoration every year.
That is cute. I will go next. I have my Arizona State University alumni mug that I recently got for a graduation gift, as I am now an alum.
I brought my Piero coffee mug. I got this a few years ago. It's been one of my faves in my collection ever since.
And not to be so basic, but I have my Keepers in a Blue mug, which was purchased a few years ago, and we love them so much. And so I'm so happy to be drinking out of that today.
Okay, great. So let's jump right into it. I want to start off by going back to the 2024 election cycle. And I want to ask what specific strategies and tactics did Keep Arizona Blue use to reach young voters during that cycle? Jacob, if you want to start us off.
Yes, thank you so much, Ava, for hosting this. Um, I want to take a step back a little bit and talk about why Keep Arizona Blue was founded in the first place. And that's because we saw a void between young people coming out to vote and really electing their local legislators, their local city council people. And so we said we need to step up and we need to create an organization that helps actually talk to young voters about these very critical races. And so that's how Keep Arizona Blue was founded. And in 2024, you saw us um, pedal to the metal. We were talking to young voters across this state on doors, on phones, on texts, on college campuses, and especially through social media, which is becoming ever so more important. And we contact 200,000 young people across the state, which is a huge number. Um, our campus operation was amazing. We had interns across many campuses, including community college campuses, which is so often left behind. We sent hundreds of thousands of texts, tens of thousands of calls. We had a huge postcard campaign, which was an amazing way to energize our older volunteers who that's what they wanted to do at that time. And so that was amazing to be able to engage young people on campuses and older people through postcards, talking to young people about the issues that really matter to them. And so 2024 was a great year when it came to engaging young people. And we'll continue that. We continue that into 2025, and we'll continue that coming into 2026.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. 2024 was obviously a huge election across the board, and I think that you provided really helpful context to what the behind the scenes organizing looks like. And now that we've talked about what strategy looks like, I'd love to zoom out a bit and hear about what it actually produced. So, Cameron, can you tell us about what measurable outcomes we saw in the 2024 cycle, particularly around youth voter registration, turnout, and engagement? We know the election did not go our way necessarily, but what was our impact on the scale we employed in our program?
Absolutely. So, although the national election didn't necessarily go the way that we planned, we had some major strides forward when it came to youth votes. So, around the country, while young voters swung to the right and voted for Trump in higher numbers, here in Arizona, we completely overcame that trend. Young voters stuck with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz and voted up and down the ballot for Democrats. And we actually saw an increased turnout rate by around 13% from 2020 from 18 to 29-year-old voters, which is huge. That means that young voters are getting more energized, are turning out in larger numbers, and still voting for those Democrats. How did we do that? Through all the ways that Jacob just said. We made sure to put in resources, effort, time to contact young voters, to reach out to send a text. And we actually found that there were tens and thousands of young voters who could have voted in 2022, who could have voted in 2020, didn't, and then voted in part because we reached out and contacted them, enough to make up large margins. So here in Arizona, we found lots of wins because of that. We protected our largest school boards across the state within purple districts. We enshrined the fundamental right to choose in our state constitution. And we sent our second Democratic U.S. Senator to Congress in Ruben Gallego. So although the national election didn't necessarily go the way that we planned, we had major, major strides forward when it came to young people turning out to vote, and not only voting top of the tickets, but all the way down for Democrats, school boards, and city councils composition. And that's all because we took the effort and reached out and contacted them.
Right, absolutely. And I think that you hit the mark where obviously we had our losses, but it's equally as important to highlight our victories. And so now moving on to this year and the 2025 elections, I know Keep Arizona Blue helped out with various different elections, but what I'm curious about is the bond and override elections where we directed a lot of our efforts to. So Francesca, can you tell us about how Keep Arizona Blue approached the 2025 off-year bond and override elections in Arizona, and then what results emerged from that work?
Well, I'm really happy that, a lot of organizations, they tend to maybe take their foot off the gas when it comes to, after a big election year, especially a presidential election year like 2025, but we just kept going. There was no stopping for us. And so we were really fortunate that we worked really hard to have interns all throughout 2025. We had seven, and then we actually were tabling with our team from August onward. So we weren't really taking a break during that time because we knew we needed to register voters for that bond and override. And then, of course, for our 2026 elections as well. I mean, even on National Voter Registration Day, which is September 16th, our organization was present on over 10 college campuses across the state. And so, like, that was very important to us. We were working with our fellow statewide candidates and a few representatives to join us as well, because we know how important it is for young people to actually meet representatives and senators and other elected officials on campus, because it completely changes their outlook on, guess what? The election isn't just in DC. It's not somewhere far away from you, but it quite literally can be in your backyard. So we know how important it is to show students that. We continue to call and text thousands of young voters about the bond and override elections, which contributed to, about 65% of our bond and overrides becoming successful and winning across the state of Arizona, which is incredibly important for our students and institutions. And then, of course, our major win with Proposition 409 in Maricopa County. So we just really are looking forward to continuing that work. We're glad that, especially in the off year too, we started a Gen Z coalition of all the youth organizations across the state where we get together and do more youth targeted work that we have set out to do. But we know, again, what we're doing is successful. We know that we're really reaching young people in a way that they typically aren't reached out to. And so we're just excited that we get to do it again next year.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I can definitely attest to the effort and energy that we put into this off-year election. And it's obviously a huge win for Democrats in Arizona. And it feels like the off-year work really sets the foundation for what's next. So looking ahead, I'm wondering how Keep Arizona Blue plans on using the lessons and the data from the last cycle and off-year elections to shape strategy for the next election cycle. Cameron, if you want to take this one.
Absolutely. So, above all else, contact works. Putting in the intention behind reaching out to young people, really making an effort to get them involved in your campaign as volunteers, as staffers, as voters, to reach out to them. That really, really works. Showing up works. We saw that in this past 2025 election, we had about a 4.5 times increase in turnout rates from last municipal election among young voters. That's because we reached out to so many through our on-campus operation, through our texting, our calls, and all of the work that we did with the youth coalition that we put together with other organizations. We did so many phone banks there, and we're going to continue to do that. And so we know that when we reach out, it works. We're going to continue to do that in next year and years beyond that. We're going to ramp up our on-campus operations, expand the number of community college and university campuses we are on, talking to young voters about the importance of local elections happening in March, in May, in August, and in November of next year. We have the 4 months of elections, 4 months, and young voters should know about all of them. And we're going to continue with our texting program, continue with our calling program to so hundreds of thousands of young voters, and really just continuing to work in leading youth coalitions and efforts to engage young voters in Arizona.
Well, first of all, that's really exciting. And it's great to hear that young people are still making strides in these elections. And then also, what I think is interesting is that you just mentioned all of these different efforts and coalitions. And it actually ties in really well for my next question, which is for people that are listening and who want to be part of this work. I want to make sure that they know that there is a way in. And so, Jacob, I'm just wondering, how can one get involved with Keep Arizona Blue?
That's a great question. One of our missions here, one of our main missions and why we were founded here at Keep Arizona Blue, is to really build the next generation of leaders. And part of building the next generation of leaders is teaching young people like us, like you, Ava, how to run a campaign, how to be a field organizer, how to be a finance director, how to train other candidates on how to run, with the end goal of electing Democrats. So if you're a young person who wants to do that, please go to keepazblue.org. There is a Get Involved tab. It's very simple. You can sign up. We'll be in touch there. Um, and we really welcome any and all young people who want to get involved with our mission. We work across the state from Yuma all the way to Flagstaff and north of there to really elect Democrats to pass these really important propositions. And if you're someone who wants to support youth organizing, please visit Keep AZ Blue. There's a donate tab on the website as well. Chip in what you can. Chip in $5 a month. It really helps us be able to organize on community colleges and universities. It helps us be able to fund a texting program and a calling program. Every dollar you give will go to organizing across the state of Arizona.
Right. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to go into rapid fire questions, and if each of you guys could answer these. So starting off with, what race are you guys most looking forward to in 2026?
Well, I'll start. I'm very excited for the LD13 race just because we have really good candidates. So shout out to Rocky Armstrong and Christy O'Brien. I'm really excited about them, and I'm biased because I am from Chandler, so it's exciting for me.
I think I'll go next. I'm really excited for a superintendent public instruction race. It's the statewide seat that oversees our public schools here in Arizona. We've seen Republican Tom Horn really sell out our public education system here, literally give hundreds of millions of dollars away from our public schools. And so we have some great candidates on our Democratic side. I'm really excited to win that seat and protect public schools in Arizona.
The race I'm most looking forward to is definitely re-electing Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. And the reason for that is he's one of our best performing Democrats in the state of Arizona. And so having a strong fighter protecting our democracy against MAGA attacks on our election systems is super important. And it will be critical to elect him again in 2026.
Yes, there's a lot of races that we have to look out for next year. Okay, so next question is, which elected official is really standing out to you right now?
For me, I'll personally say that Annalise Ortiz is really standing out to me, especially with her social media presence, and she's just doing a great job of showing, how the legislature works, and then also, hopefully that we're on the path to flipping the legislature this next election cycle. So she's definitely someone to look out for.
For me, definitely Attorney General Chris. She is really using the powers of the Attorney General's office for good to help Arizonans. She's already filed over 30 lawsuits against the Trump administration for violating the Constitution. That's saved us about $1.5 million on programs like Meals for Wheels, Medicaid, all of that. She's done so many lawsuits for renters and protecting rent freezes for young Arizonans. And so she's really just been a rock star on protecting young people, Arizonans across the state, and I'm really excited to reelect her.
I'm gonna have to go with Governor Katie Hobbs only because uh, one, she's able to pass good bills, but almost more importantly to me, she's able to veto a lot of bills that the Republican majority in both the state House and state Senate are passing that would majorly cause damage to young people across the state, rural communities, urban communities, college campuses. And so Governor Hobbs is really able to stop that harm before it can reach us.
Right. We have some really amazing candidates and some really amazing women running for office again. So, okay, our final question is, what is one goal for Keep Arizona Blue heading into this new year?
Well, a major goal for myself is to ensure that we're just building a larger operation. It has been every year. And if you'd asked me 5 years ago that Keep Arizona Blue would be what it is today, I would not have believed you. But I'm just really grateful to be surrounded by such hardworking people. So just partnering with more, other hardworking people that work for other statewide organizations and just finding more students to get involved with our group.
So, at least for me personally, I'm really excited to connect with more candidates around the state. So, as political director, I work really closely with candidates and working on plans to engage young voters, ensure that young voters are included in their campaigns in one way, shape, or form. And so, I'm really excited to continue to connect with school board candidates, with constable, this is the peace candidates, with even like the state-led city council candidates to ensure that young voters are getting engaged and have a place in campaigns.
I'm going to go with expanding to more campuses across the state. Every campus that we start organizing in has hundreds of new possible voters, sometimes in like some cases, thousands of new possible voters. And so again, I'm going to plug it. If you're a student in community colleges or a university across Arizona, please reach out. We want to get people engaged with Keep Arizona Blue in our work, in the good work we do electing Democrats from the bottom of the ballot to the top here in Arizona.
Perfect. Well, that is all the questions that I have for you all today. And thank you guys so much for joining me and also for all of your amazing efforts across the board for Democrats in Arizona. We really appreciate it. But thank you.
Thank you, Ava.
Thank you, Ava.
Okay, guys.
Okay.